Hi, Julie. I was just looking at the nose bridge thing that you said you were having trouble with it, and I had some ideas. I started typing them out, but then I realized it'd be easier just to do this. This is a cool little shape. I'm assuming you want it to be more symmetrical than it ended up being. If you didn't, whatever. I can't see your reference images. For some reason, they didn't stick into the file. But anyways, one of the things I ran into with my speaker. Let me turn some of these guys off. One of the things I ran into with my speaker was there's a lot of symmetry in the design, and instead of trying to do everything twice, I've just been cutting the shape in half and duplicating it and then flipping it over and rejoining it. One thing that you'll run into with this shape, though, is you've got these edges in here that kind of do their own thing through the middle there. You might want to try and clean some of those lines up with some snapping, if you want. This took me forever to figure out because I'm dumb, but if you turn on snapping and then use the vertex snapping, I'm going to turn off grid line for now, you can grab a little vertexy guy, and then whichever one of these arrows you want to, whichever way you want to move it at any particular moment. For this one I'm going to move it in the Y direction. But anyways, I'll grab that one, grab that little green Y arrow, and then drag it to the vertex that I want this vertex to snap to. So in this case this one, and it'll do that. So I'm going to do everything on this side. Ignore that. So like this guy, who I think is in the back, I'll grab this X arrow way over here, which I thought was really counterintuitive, and then I'm like, oh, what's happening? It's because it wants to snap. So I'll snap it here to this little guy, and now those two are in line. And like this guy back here, come here, grab that Y arrow, snap into this guy, this funky dude. In this case, I'm going to try and get here. I cause a lot of problems for myself doing this, but this will hopefully move in Y and X at the same time. And snap in here. But I just want these crisscross lines down here to not be crissed or crossed anymore. So, and they don't have to be near each other, so like I'll grab this arrow and then drag it all the way over here, and it'll snap up, boop, to match that guy. It's pretty cool. And this guy, and this doesn't really matter, I'm just trying to make these lines not as interesting as they are right now, because when I cut it in half and then flip it over and weld it, I'll have crazy vertices that I'd have to fix again later, and I don't want to do that. So, this looks fairly, oh, up here's different though. Well, you'll see the crazy vertexes, and then you'll know what to avoid. So, I'm going to convert this to an editable poly by right-clicking on it, doing all that. And then I'm going to go down to Quick Slice. First, I'm going to turn on grid line snapping. And then I'm going to grab Quick Slice. I'm going to go here, click, hold, drag, let off, click again. Maybe you don't have to hold, I don't know. But that just cut your whole nose bridge thing in half. So, and I'm going to turn on the shade. Whoops, that's not right. I'm going to turn on the shadows, I think. Function F4, please? No? Huh. I thought that worked. No? No? Alright, well, I guess I'm not going to do that. Anywho, I'm going to go to polygons, and then I'm going to drag, whoops, I still have Quick Slice selected, turn that off. Now I'm going to have the move tool selected, I'm going to click and drag, and get as close to the middle as I can without going over, and that hopefully selected all the polygons on the, my left side. I'm going to hit delete, and they're all gone. You might want to inspect it after you do that, just to make sure there's not some little jaggy guy sticking out that you didn't quite drag over to. But once that's done, let's go back up to editable poly. It'll be selected. I just deselected it. It'll be selected. Then hit Control V. That makes a Well, it'll want to make an instance in this case, but change it to copy. And then click OK. Now grab this little tab over here, and then select Effect Pivot Only. And then grab your X guy here, and drag it over to the very edge of your polygon. I still have grid line snapping turned on, so that helps with that. If you're cutting it over the middle, if not, you might want to turn on edge snapping. That'll also work. If you do use any kind of snapping, it's the same principle as the vertexes. Just drag to whatever grid line you want, and it'll snap to it. Anywho, where was I? I already duplicated it. Come up here, where it says Select in Uniform Scale, click and hold to change it to the second one down, which I think is called Non-Uniform? Yes. Right click on it. In this case, I'm transforming in the X direction, because it's on the X axis. Change that to a negative, and it'll flip it to the other side. Whoop. Now that that is done, you want to attach it to the other one. So click back over here, go down to Attach, click that, and click the other half. Boop. Now they're attached. See, it made cylinder 4. I'm still trying to attach things. Watch out for that. I did that a bunch on my little speaker where I'd go over here and start clicking around. It's still attaching things to that object if you do that. So make sure you unclick attach. And then see, it's one cylinder now. But we're not quite done because you have so see, we're gonna have some funky vertices down there to figure out. And see how it's kind of split right there. Weird stuff happens when you have a lot of edges crisscrossing and you do that cut and flip thing. So you'll probably end up having to fix some stuff either before or after you do this. This happened with my little speaker. I had just a microscopically thick gap between everything because I had one or two little vertexes that stuck out further than the others. Anyways, we want to weld as many of these together as we can before trying to fix too many of them. So just highlight and weld it. And that went from 40 to 32, so there's a bunch that, like these guys, would probably want to move them closer to each other. And it's not hard to do. Like, you can still see the middle here. So if you keep grid line snapping turned on, or actually, you know what? Vertex or grid line or both or whatever, you can grab some treble vertices and just line them up with their little neighbors, and really in no time at all you'll have it sorted out. And once you've lined a couple up, you can highlight on and then weld on, and you'll want to check your other views to make sure you're not ruining things. But this is such a cool little shape. I like it a lot. It kind of reminds me of Space Invaders, the old computer game. Anywho, that's something I've done a million times with my speaker, my little speaker project. I'm constantly cutting this thing in half and then flipping it around and then rejoining it. Whoops. So like it's been cut, and just over and over and over again I'll cut the top and the sides, and it's like this line in the middle here was created by a cut, this big line that kind of wraps all the way around. I've probably cut and rejoined my speaker 10 times because I keep realizing I've done something wrong, and I'll fix it in one side and then redo the whole process. And every time I create problems for myself, like lines that are right next to each other that I have to sort out, because I've been learning about snapping as I go, and initially I didn't have things were lined up by me eyeballing them, like the height of these two little posts were eyeballed originally, and now they're snapped, so they're exactly the same, but they weren't before. So anyways, yeah, I guess that's why we're taking the class. But yeah, hopefully that helped you, and if it didn't, sorry I wasted your time.